If you're ready to stop doom scrolling, if you're ready to escape the slave master dynamic, if you're tired of thinking the world is effed up and you're not sure what to do about it, and you're afraid but you want to live free, this is the episode for you. Welcome to Awakening the Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christian Strang, and today we have a special interview series with our beloved guest, Jordan Summers. Jordan, welcome back to the podcast. We're so happy to have you with us.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
If you remember, Jordan was with us on episode 71. So if you're interested in getting her backstory and what got her onto the awakening path, be sure to check out that episode. In the meantime, I'm going to give you a little bit more about Jordan and share her bio, which is really, really magnetic and powerful. And I can't wait to share this bio with you. It is so yummy. So you can get to know a little bit more about the work that she's doing now. Jordan Summers is a sovereignty and spirituality guide. She wants you to stop all caps, giving your life force away to algorithms, corporate overlords, and systems designed to keep you distracted and compliant. For over 15 years, Jordan has been unmasking the debt slave system and digital control grid that is keeping humanity small. Before waking up, she even interned in the city of London, the epicenter of the global banking cartel. Armed with degrees in political science and business and a thriving career in digital marketing, Jordan now helps others break free from the very systems that she once studied from the inside. As one of our sacred spirituality coaches and love activists, she teaches the same spiritual technologies that liberated her from the artificial matrix so that you too can reclaim your sovereignty and live free from all of the nonsense. Through Life Force Activator sessions, advanced awaken sessions, and group healings, Jordan helps her clients release old programs, activate their highest timelines, and take practical actions, all caps, to experience true freedom. You can also find Jordan alongside her beloved, and I absolutely recommend this, Dr. Luke Johnson on YouTube in their weekly series, Exploring the Golden Bough, the compendium of magic that inspired Carl Jung. Think of it as graduate school for conspiracy theorists. And be sure to receive Jordan's free gift, which we'll talk more about at the end of this episode. It's called Never Doubt Yourself Again, and you can find it at jordan-summers.com/never doubt yourself to stop outsourcing your important life decisions to AI once and for all. Jordan, I love this bio and this intro for you. Cannot wait to dive in. This is so important with what we see happening with AI. For those of you that saw our episode, The AI Apocalypse, we are at a tremendous time in consciousness where we need to stop all caps, doing what we've been doing, and take actions, all caps, as Jordan outlined in her bio. So, we've been wanting to have this conversation for some time. Jordan and I frequently will riff on these topics whenever we can because I don't know, it's some of the most important work that we can be doing here on Earth. So, to start us off, Jordan, what would you say is like the number one way that folks right now that you're seeing the collective right now giving their life force away to the control systems?
Mm. The biggest thing to me is this belief and mindset that most humans are carrying that they can't do anything about it.
Yes. Tell us more.
I mean, like there's so many little things. And of course, every time we pay someone with cash money, which is a debt note, or every time we comply with something that we know is not good for us, or we could talk about the food systems and how everything's poisoned and on and on and on. But I think the biggest challenge for people actually is to break through their own cognitive dissonance, not just witness what's happening, but take accountability for how we individually are participating in it, are perpetuating our own enslavement, and break through so that we can start to make different choices. But so many people either they're not aware of the stuff and they're just believing what's coming through CNBC, etc. That's maybe one group of people, but there's many of us who are aware. We are addicted to doom scrolling. We are addicted to just watching uh, the horrors that are happening. And something that I think Michael Hoffman, is his name, writes about is this concept of revelation of the method. So things are being exposed in front of everyone to such a wild degree that, from how he describes it, it numbs people out. It wears people out. It overworks your adrenals. You are cognitively, emotionally, hormonally, like nervous system overloaded and not taking action.
Yeah. And this powerlessness that you're speaking of is really an effective tool so that the control grid can stay into place for such a long time, right? This was
Mhm.
all happening deep undercover. And there were like, the OGs in the space, Jordan Maxwell, there were some people talking about these things, but it was pretty like out there. Nobody was paying attention to it. Now it's become so well known, which has been incredible to see. But since 2020, the light has been shown.
Mhm.
And like you said, so to me, what I saw the agenda do was go full force, right? Okay, so how do we keep them powerless? First, we kept them in the dark. How do we keep them so burnt out, frazzled, their nervous system completely upended that they won't do anything anyway? We're actually paralyzing them with the amount of information and
Mhm.
clarity and exposure that's happening. Because all that matters is that you see it and you don't do anything about it. Because before it was
Yeah.
being shown, but just in very subtle ways, right? The Olympic opening ceremonies, there were all different ways that this information, the movies, we've talked about this a lot. You and Dr. Luke, your beloved, go deeper into this, right? There's all these ways that the information has been there for us. Now it's really out, and now people are burnt out. But as long as they're not doing anything and powerless, the agenda still can continue.
And there's something for everyone. No matter what frequency you're at,
That's
whatever your
right.
interests, your personal
Yes.
interests are there. And there's a Devo song called that. And I suspect it's a little bit about this. Like there is something for everybody.
So
So,
true. I love this.
because sometimes it's like, oh, I'm not wrapped up in that. I'm not wrapped up in Real Housewives. I'm better than that. But am I? Am I really? Like, what storylines am I getting sucked into? Which movies are drawing me in and capturing my attention? And some of these things can be very sneaky and feel productive, but are they really? Are they
Mm.
really?
Mm. Can we talk about that a little bit? What are
Mhm.
some of the behaviors, those sneakier behaviors? Because you're right. I think especially for folks who are watching, if you're watching Awakening the podcast, you're pretty well awakened. But if you're not taking action, there's a gap in your consciousness. And we
Mhm.
mean if you're not taking action to liberate yourself, if you're still in these dynamics with the control grid, then there's more expansion to happen there. So what are some of those like sneaky ways that folks stay connected and tied in?
Yeah. And you've spoken about this too. I think one is like joining all these groups. There's so many groups, there's so many
So
Telegram
many.
chats, there's so
Yeah.
many, and there's some great stuff out there. And if there's someone you feel a strong resonance with and they are helping expand your perspective and appropriately direct you to yourself, if and when that is part of the conversation and not making themselves out to be your savior, like there are some healthy dynamics, but even with the best of the best, we can develop unhealthy what is it, parasocial relationships with these people. I noticed this in myself. Like I was going through this, curriculum on quote freedom, and an interaction I had with someone there, it dawned on me, oh, I've consumed all of these hours of videos of these people. They have not interacted with me at the same level. And so I've developed this parasocial relationship that you see people describe happening with their children when they're watching television shows with Miss Rachel or whatever it is.
Yes.
I'm not above that either. So I think that's one example. And I want to clarify a little bit. I think you know that you're taking action when you are feeling more peace, when you're
Mm.
feeling more calm, when you're feeling more confidence, taking action doesn't always have to look like doing this huge heroic thing. It could
Yeah.
be doing your daily spiritual practices so you aren't carrying around everyone's energy, which is something I have to remind myself to do all the time.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't mean you have to take risky actions that put yourself, your family, your community in harm's way. I don't think we're being asked here to do things that could wind us up in prison for a decade, you know? um, to be kind of extreme. So taking action can look like a lot of things, but if you are passively just taking in information and not doing anything with it, not integrating it, what would it look like if you sat down and even if, you're still wanting to evaluate the psychological operations, like say a world event happens and you're just super interested in it. So you consume a lot of stuff about it. Well, what if you had like a personal debriefing with yourself? Like, what if you, after that, took a pause and then journaled, okay, what are my takeaways here? What are the patterns I see? Are there heuristics or frameworks that I can create for myself that I can apply to future events to help me navigate them? Take it to the next level. Just like when we were in school, we all know just because you speed through a textbook or, just because you're sitting in the classroom does not mean you're absorbing the information. Like sitting in the front row, raising your hand, having dialogue with appropriate people who are in your swirl, who can help ground you, like journaling, maybe even like writing a personal blog, even if nobody reads it, or you just keep it to yourself, helping you synthesize what's going on and connecting it back to the bigger values that you have. What are you here on this earth to really do? We're surrounded by psychological operations. We're in the midst of a spiritual war. Like you already know, I don't I don't hate to break it to you. That doesn't mean I think it's an amazing time to be here. How exciting, um, how much development we're all able to have in such a compressed timeline. But it's it requires your active participation, and it's very easy to be taken out. Just because you see it and you know the truth doesn't mean you're not just as influenced by it, because if you are just as triggered on one side of anything, you are just as much pulled into that, whether you're team red, team blue. If you're that's totally fake, no, it's totally real. Well, if that's running your day-to-day life and you can't be present with your family, with your meals, if you're sitting there like just like I had a website years ago called infojunkie.com or something like that. Like I called myself an information junkie. So I get it, like it's interesting, but how are you how are you integrating it, and how is it making your life better?
And this anesthetization that's
Mm,
happening for the collective it's a great strategy for the control grid. It's a great strategy. So, when you were doing Info Junkie, we needed the information. Now there's such an overwhelming mass of information that people, like you said, are just taking it in. Now we also have that partnered with using AI assistance for everything. So no one's using higher brain functioning, no one's using critical thinking. They're just in this sort of opioid addictive
yeah.
state of that zombiness and just kind of going through the emotions. So or emotions, excuse me, of life. What I'm hearing you say here, Jordan, is we need to be more actively engaged in what's unfolding for us so that, like you said, if there is information about a world event or whatever it is and you're taking it in, stop and have a moment with yourself. And you mentioned this earlier, is this a soul resonant being for me to be listening to? This is one of the most important questions you can ask. Are they soul resonant? Is my soul resonating with them at a deep spiritual level? If the answer is yes, great, keep listening. Second question, and you spoke to this. Is this supporting my soul mission? Is this supporting my spiritual purpose in some capacity? If the answer is no, stop listening, right? We really need to I love that you talked about have a personal debrief with yourself of like, wait, let's really look at this. Because we know it's psyops on psyops. We're in the midst of psychological operations left and right. We know it's a spiritual war. Anybody who's watching this podcast or listening to it, we know those things. But are you in fear? That's the big thing I see a lot of folks who claim to be awakened on this path are absolutely running on a frazzled nervous system. They are in fear. They are making decisions from fear. They're still afraid of the control grid. They're still afraid of what can be done to them if they don't comply with X, Y, and Z. So they're hiding out as a strategy, a coping strategy, when that's just a trauma response. So that's all we've got. And we saw this in 2020, right? It was just everyone was responding differently, but they were responding from a trauma response.
Hmm.
So our work as spiritual light beings on the path is to actually go to what's underneath that. And that's what I love about the work you're doing here, Jordan, because you are going to that deeper piece and working with that nervous system, that fear, those stories, those limitations, because that's the loophole. That's how you escape. Escape is a very strong word. That's how you liberate yourself. Escape is a little bit more, that's how you liberate yourself from the control grid. So I love, love, love that you brought this in. I also want to highlight that piece you talked about groups as a
Mm.
distraction because there are, when long ago, 2012, groups were just getting started. Now there is so much that can distract us. Can you talk a little bit more about what are some, let's say somebody does the personal debrief, they recognize, okay, this is not a soul resonant being for me to be listening to. This does not serve my soul mission. What's an action that they could take instead that would be
Mm.
really supportive for their liberation?
Well, this ticks people off, but um flippantly I want to say nothing, but it's not just nothing. It's not just nothing. But um you already said, you gave the answer, like stop, walk away. If it's something that you are really curious about, pray about it. Ask it to be shown.
Mm.
Ask every day. Ask 5 times a day. Make this super clear. Sometimes in my prayers, I'm like, hey, you're going to really have to make this obvious for me.
Mhm.
I'm not getting it. Um, Another prayer I often have is, give me humility, help me be humble so I can see what I was not able to see before. Because a big problem with importing group beliefs sometimes is they have implicit assumptions built into them. They have premises that you then adopt that can prevent you from seeing things at a higher level. And I notice that frequently. But, you know, I love all the head brain stuff. I love information. I love reading the Financial Times. Like, I love all these things. But ultimately, there's no greater source of truth than your own connection to spirit, to source, to great creator. That is going to guide you along the way. And all of these other bits of data is a way I think about them. They're fun. This is such a fun, exciting game to play. I love logic, but you really need both to really make it, I would say, in this world. um maybe you don't actually, because I think we both know people who totally are unplugged. They do not pay any attention to any of this stuff, but they are so in alignment. They know so strongly who they are, and this is you too. Like, they don't need the external to tell them what to do. And the longer you're on this path, the more moments you'll have that later things confirm actions that you were already guided to take. But it's not obvious in the moment for so many reasons. So, and yeah, like walk away, go outside,
Yeah, walk
come
away, go
back.
outside.
Don't
Yes.
don't just go to another YouTube video. Oh my goodness, the reels are so addictive. Short form video
Mm.
is one of the most addictive drugs available 24/7 to everyone wherever they go. How many people go to the bathroom with their phone? Like,
Yes.
what are we doing?
What are we doing? So this is something everyone watching, everyone listening can play with. Try going to the bathroom without your phone.
Yeah. If that's the next step, take it. And like I say
Yes,
all these things because I've done them. I'm not here like, oh,
100%.
I'm so immune from what's going on. Absolutely not. My brain is just as easily hijacked. And what I notice and observe is the most logical people, the people who present themselves as the most logical, are the most run, in my experience, from their subconscious minds and their unprocessed emotions.
Yes. 1,000,000%. Because they're not at all looking at those things, so they're running amok and totally running their whole psyche, their whole life.
Mm-hmm. We're not going to get out of this trap just through logic. It is too complex, too confusing, too multidimensional, too ever changing.
And we can look at this, we can look at examples of this, right? So if you see like the freedom movement and you see all those who are awakened to what's happening here on earth, but then you interact with them personally or you learn more about them, they are running on fear. Their nervous system has been completely hijacked by the control grid, which they are sure that they are free of which they are not. They are terrified and they're making decisions from that place. So it really, we have to really, like you said, check in, like making decisions that bring you peace to your nervous system, that bring calm. That's your internal guidance saying like, yes, keep
Mm-hmm.
going. It doesn't mean you won't be uncomfortable. I mean, I've done a lot of processes, I know you have as well, to get out of the control grid. And there will be emotions that come up because you are stretching yourself. And the control grid does not want you to leave. So when you start to leave, fear will intensify. But on the other side of that is peace. And that's what you're moving in the direction of. And that's why you need mentorship and support, like the work that Jordan's doing, like the work that I'm doing. You need someone to support you through that. Otherwise, it can feel very ungrounding. It can feel very terrifying to be
Mm-hmm.
leaving the matrix. I mean, I know when I deleted Facebook, of which I built my entire business and shared my whole life on, people were like, I can't leave Facebook. I would go broke. Like my whole life is on there. And I was like in my fired up, impassioned response for what I was learning about the matrix. I was like, I'm out, delete. The day that I did that, I literally felt this wave of tremendous fear hit me, like so strong. It was psychic attack. You're not leaving. Facebook is like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you're not leaving. There were so many tentacles in my body. That's Facebook. Imagine the banking cartel. Imagine the job slave matrix. Imagine the business slave matrix. Imagine these greater matrices that you're a part of. The voter matrix. Like that is so heavily corded into your body, mind, and energy field. You're going to feel intensity when you make those shifts. But before you even go there, you need to be doing the work with Jordan that she's talking about here. Can you tell us a little bit about the life force sessions that I want to pull up your bio here, the life force activator sessions and the philosophy around that, because I believe that's what it's getting to, that like we can take all the external actions to leave the control grid, but if we aren't doing that inner work, there's a problem.
Yes. I mean, here's what happens when you're not doing the inner work. You make dumb choices. Anytime greed is driving your choice, you are getting way off track. So that is an excellent thing to ask yourself, because I've noticed this in my own brain. Oh, I want to do XYZ so I can save this much money. So the tax thing is such a thing. And there are ways out of it. So it's, but if you're making decisions from this like materialistic, urgent, and we talked about this in the last podcast too. If you're doing anything out of a great sense of urgency that feels do or die this moment, or you're not going to survive, that shows you there is some massive energetic nervous system work that wants to happen. And the actual procedures, the external actions you take may not shift at all. It may be exactly the same, but the difference in the outcome, the difference in your experience with them will be completely different. when you are working on it energetically, psychically, emotionally, even intellectually. So, what does that look like? Well, we have all these tertiary beliefs, or I guess higher order is not really the right word, but like surface beliefs, right? A surface belief might be, oh, I have to respond to my boss within 5 minutes of whenever he messages me, or I'm a bad person. That could be like this like surface. But then there's all these belief structures layered underneath there that are much more core, that are more abstract in a way, but more global in a way. Does that make sense? Yeah. So they might be like, I'm going to die if I don't please my masters.
Yes, yes, yes. That everyone listening should work on that belief right there.
And it
Because
sounds crazy.
but it's exactly what is running humans.
Yeah, it sounds really insane, but truly, we have taken on all of these, and probably definitely not just from this lifetime, but even just things that happen to us as children is
Mhm.
is sitting there in our body if we don't process them and integrate them, and it's playing out in all of these other ways. The thing is never about the thing. The boyfriend leaving you is not about the boyfriend leaving you. It's
That's right.
about you being disconnected from source.
That's right.
That's the pain that it is giving you an insight into. So when you're able to, in a intentional container with another human who can hold that for you and with you and support you through it, you're able to go so much deeper into these layers of trauma, these layers of stories, and deactivate them, integrate them, bring them to wholeness, bring awareness to them. And it's not that difficult, but it isn't easy either. So what that kind of looks like is, typically we identify a belief that is playing out for you in your present life. Maybe there's a theme or a pattern. Maybe it's just a domain of life. Maybe it's, hey, I'm not feeling as vibrant as I want to feel. Or maybe um, I know I could be more successful in my career, but for some reason it's not happening. So we could use it as a starting place. And then really we call in and ask for guidance from your higher wisdom and source. Okay, what is the specific belief that we want to focus on that's going to be the most impactful for this soul's liberation? And then we take that specifically through a series of techniques. Each session can be a little bit different depending on the needs of the moment. And we use a series of somatic, I call them imaginal techniques. So we're really imagining and seeing, because that is a powerful part of your technology and how you communicate with source directly and your higher wisdom directly. And then we use a variety of energetic practices, bringing light into your body and filling all those spaces that have been emptied out, really bringing back the light of source to fill them. Because it is an end-to-end process, because just because we kind of clean out some of the gunk, we want to make sure we're not just immediately filling it back with junk food right after that. So how do we bring in that really supportive, juicy light and increase the light quotient that you have? So that's kind of a high level what those sessions may look like. And then of
Love
course
it.
we have
Thank
coaching sessions too, where like sometimes it's just helpful to talk to somebody and say, hey, I'm really scared about this thing, or I don't know any solutions about this. Every single
Yes, yes.
problem that we have, there is a solution for.
That's
And
right.
you may have to do some alignment work to be able to magnetize that solution for you. But please know there are solutions for every single challenge you are facing.
So well said. I absolutely love the overview you gave us of like, what does this look like? Because what you're really getting to is bringing back that life force energy that's been given away through the control grid and through the attention to the control grid, the participation in the control grid, the fear of the control grid, all of that is harvesting vital life force energy. So the process that Jordan takes you through in her sessions is actually returning that
Mm-hmm.
vital life force energy to you. If you're feeling particularly run down and burn out, one of the main things that could be doing that is exactly what we're talking about here today. If you don't have the proper support energetically, spiritually, you will find it absolutely frazzling and overwhelming to exist in this reality. It will be, and that is by design. That is by design. Your life force is being harvested. And so when you make choices that liberate yourself, like working with Jordan, having sessions like this, you have life force energy that's returned back to you. And I know, Jordan, you've had this experience yourself. If you want to talk a little bit about what that feels like to not even realize you had given this huge amount of life force energy away and then to have it returned to you.
Oh yeah. I mean, often it is a like it's a emotional it starts really with the shift happening from the spiritual work. I think that's what happens first. And then often I will just notice my experience and my body's completely different. And then my brain will be able to find and identify like the reason why what I used to believe is no longer true. Um, that makes sense. So even with the IRS, you know, like we did some energetic work. I kind of realigned on something. I just really knew clearly, okay, I'm calling in solutions for this, and um, disentangling and revoking consent from some of the energetic siphoning that is happening in my Wei Chi. And so immediately I started feeling just way more energy. Like, wow, I've been operating at 60%. And I'm sure there's more to go. Like, this never ends. It never stops. There's always another layer of it, which is, depending on your perspective, frustrating, but I think incredibly exciting. Um, and then following that, it was just, I started to get kind of the intellectual downloads, the thought forms that I was now aligned to that, oh, okay, here's exactly how it's going to happen. But I cleared out the gunk. I let go of some of the limiting beliefs and really shifted my reality, the reality that I'm aligned with.
Oh, amazing. And then how did that feel in your body? What did you notice like once you were able to set yourself free of those pieces?
Yeah, I just felt like a queen. I was like, and kind of in a rude, but I mean, it wasn't rude. I was just looking around and I was like, wow, everybody's a slave. Wow. Like, oh, like you just start seeing like, oh, every
Yeah.
car that's registered. Like, and I already knew this, but it wasn't new information. It's
Yeah.
just on another level.
Yeah.
Like, just felt a little cockier. Like, I just felt like taller, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about that because I think that's really important, but I'm writing it down first because it was so good. Feeling like a queen, feeling taller.
I was just like, they don't have anything on me. Like, I'm in
Yeah.
charge. I am in
Yes.
charge.
And that's the truth.
It
And
is.
that's the truth.
It is.
And so that, like you said, oh, I feel a little like cockier and oh, like, but that's, but that is like the truth of who you are. Like there's a transmission, I can't remember in which book of ours, but the team was saying like, people are so afraid of being full of themselves. And like, we
Mm,
want you to be full of yourself. Like the divine wants you to be full of yourself because who you really are is that queen. And when that next level of the veil is cleared for you and you can see it at every car or every human, right? I would go on social and just be like, these are all just programs. Like these people are programs, like, and what happens is you get all that energy back because you're
mm-hmm.
remembering who you really are. And that's why you have a session with Jordan before you go do some process to get out of the matrix or before you sell your house and move into the middle of nowhere and live off grid, which I don't recommend doing because we did it and it was a whole thing. And we'll talk about that some other time. Join forces with others, be in community if you're going to do that. But before you take those actions, you need to do this deeper inner work. And then when you're full of yourself, of who you really are, you will make good decisions. Because Jordan, you nailed that.
Mm-hmm.
You said people are making bad decisions in this. They're like, oh my God, it's all controlled. I got to get out of here. So I'm going to do these quick, urgent things that just create more drama, more bumps in the
Mm-hmm.
road. And yes, there's a solution for everything, and you'll eventually come back around to the solution, but you don't need to go through so many bumps in the road before you do that. So
Mm-hmm.
this is really such powerful wisdom and medicine that you're bringing here to us today, Jordan. I feel like I could talk to you for hours about
Of
this
course. Well,
because
what
I could.
one thing I want to interject, because I
Yes.
know we need to transition, but um, a queen is not thinking about what are we going to do this month, next year. A queen is thinking about what are we doing over the next decades,
Yes,
generationally. And when you are playing chess on that level, fear dissolves.
that's
You
right.
do not ever need to take some action in a hasty manner that you don't comprehend to be, quote, free. You are free. You already are. And this is not a competition. Don't let what other people are doing or what they're presenting as, because there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of bullshit that is being presented online. Never compare yourself. And you are playing a legacy of light game.
I love that. The legacy of light game. Amen. And when you talked about a queen looking at decades and generations, she's also thinking about her legacy, right? It's such a bigger game to play. It's such a more divine aligned game to play. Thank you so much for your wisdom and sharing with us today, Jordan. What is the best way for folks to connect with you and go further with you or join your swirl in whatever capacity
Yeah.
is available?
We'll get our freebie. That is going to set you up to make great decisions. I will not say it's overnight, if I'm being honest. We market it as a little juicier, but truly, the Never Doubt Yourself Again free gift is really going to set you up with a practice that you can go back to again and again and really develop your own inner spiritual compass, because there is so much fluff, hustlers, programming, humans who don't know that they're giving you programming. They may think that they're giving you great information, and not everyone is here to do the same thing. The decisions Christian is going to make are different than the decisions I'm going to make in alignment with our higher selves and our individual life paths. So really honing in and practicing spiritual discernment. I think spiritual discernment is the only skill really left, the most important skill. Everything else follows. And it does demand a very high degree of self-responsibility. It does demand a very high degree of clarity and commitments to being your higher self. But if you commit to that alone, you will know exactly what to do. That's it.
So well said.
And we have
So
a challenge
beautifully
in
said.
there. If you finish the challenge, you get a free session. So that's my little incentive.
What?
Yeah, you knew. Yeah, there's a cute little tracker. I tried to make it super fun, but really, this is serious stuff. And I cannot overemphasize how important it is to be spiritually connected and self-guided and in connection with people who you really trust and who you resonate with, so that you can avoid some of the we're all learning from each other.
Yeah. So well said. This link will be in the YouTube show notes, in the audio show notes, but for those who are like driving right now, Jordan, and they're not going to be able to check show notes, can you give them the URL?
Sure. I believe it's jordan-summers.com/ so like the dash in the middle is like a hyphen, jordan/summers.com/ never doubt yourself. Or you can just go to my Instagram. My Instagram is at golden_age_creatrix.com. I post videos. I'm trying to do more frequently, but several a week, all about kind of sovereignty, psyops as I see it. You can also find us on YouTube. It's Dr. Luke Johnson, where we do some movie reviews. I really call it conspiracy theorists graduate school, because that is what it is. We are zooming up a layer. We are not getting lost in the sauce. We're really looking at these patterns in a much bigger way. So those are probably the best ways. If you want to email me, I'm Jordan at goldenage.digital, I think. I can't even remember.
We'll
So
have all
find me
the
on
links. Yes. Yeah.
Instagram's great. And if you want a session, you can just message me. You can go to my website and there's ways to do that. But if you're on Instagram, that's probably the easiest way. So just send me a DM. And we have the freebie linked on there as well.
Yeah, I love your and Dr. Luke's movie series because I'm a huge fan of watching the movies and seeing the patterns. And I love the breakdown that
Oh,
you
thank
guys
you.
give. And I think you've done some clips on Instagram too from those
Hmm.
interviews as well, which is really powerful. So, yes, be sure to check all of that out. Follow Dr. Luke as well. We'll have all the links, of course, in the show notes. Thank you again, Jordan. This was as much fun as I knew it would be. And
Yeah.
and I can't wait for part two whenever we do it next, because there's just, so much content here that the divine and the universe is giving us that we really need to raise our discernment on and step into
Yeah.
the goddess queens that we are. So thank you again for all of you who are here with us today. They're listening or watching. We're so grateful to be on this awakening path with you. If you enjoyed this episode today, please share it with someone you know, like, comment, subscribe so you can be the first to know when we have new episodes out. And if you'd like more from the Sacred Spirituality Swirl, go to sacred-spirituality.org. We have freebies, free links, free transmissions, all kinds of goodness for you to be on this path of becoming your higher self in form. Thank you again for watching and listening. I'm your host, Dr. Christian Strang, and as always, this has been Awakening, the podcast.